Hello everyone, welcome back to Redstone, A Beginner's Approach. I am Zerul, your connector for today's train wreck of an episode. Today we're going to go ahead and look at our first three power input devices. So to give you a quick recap, whenever you're dealing with Redstone, you're going to be dealing with three things. You're going to be dealing with a power source, a transmission method, and then at the end of it, something to use it, a receiver or a mechanism to use it with. Now, in the previous episode, I went over the concepts of strongly liquidly powered things, signal strength or power level, and redstone ticks. So just go back over these again real quick. A block is considered strongly powered when the redstone power source is applying power to it directly. You'll see a few examples in just a second here. A strong block can transmit its power to a second block, like so, or to a redstone signal. A weakly powered block is a block that is getting power from a strong power block, and it cannot transmit the power any further. So as you'll see, this one transmits the redstone signal, this one does not. We went over the signal strength of a line or a power level, and if you remember, redstone can travel up to 15 blocks without problems there, whereas if you add things like repeaters in, you can increase it even further there, with the penalty being you increase delay in the signal there by a series of ticks. And then finally, I was going over the concept of a Redcraft tick, which is 1/10 of a second, which is half as slow as a game tick. I don't know if I mentioned it before. The game ticks every 20th of a second. Redstone ticks every 10th of a second. You can think of tick as basically something happening, it checking or something like that. So as I described there, the more delay you have, the more it takes for things to occur, whereas with less delay, it happens basically instantly. So, pretty simple concept. So we're going to go over, like I said, the first three power components there. We're going to be working with the button, the lever, and the redstone torch. Now, the first two are going to be fairly simple. In fact, let's go ahead and set the time real quick here, something a little bit. Actually, let's set it to something like that. Anyhow, actually, let's do one more thing. That's probably some of what's going on. There we go. All right. So the button, like I said, is in the first episode, is a input source that gives you a temporary pulse. Now, when you think of pulse, think of it as being a short burst. So in this case, it turns on, it turns off. Now, for all of these, I have represented the strongly powered block with the quartz, the weakly powered block with yellow, and an unpowered block with the orange there, which we'll see in just a second. So in this case, this will provide strong power to the block that it is attached to. It will provide weak power to the 5 sides that it is currently connected to that block, as well as the 4 sides that are adjacent to it on the sides like this, and then actually one like this. Now, this block is never going to be used for pretty much anything because there's really no way to get to the button, but just show you that it does work. Ta-da. So, it technically does power what's behind it there. And to show you, power like that. So, this is the button. So, strong power, weak power. Now, the lever is a little bit different. The lever is either on or off. On or off. So similarly, it has the same grouping there. You've got one strongly powered block, you've got the 5 blocks that are adjacent to it, as well as the 4 on its side and the 1 behind it, all which are weakly powered. This one's a little bit easier to work with because you can just turn it on and leave it on and then provide your power that way. So still won't use it that often, but it can be done this way. Not a lot of people like levers for some reason. Maybe people think that they're ugly, but they are very useful. Just remember they are a toggle. Now, we're going to go ahead and get to the Redstone Torch. The Redstone Torch is a little bit more complicated than the rest. So, to give you this example, the Redstone Torch, first off, it does not give any redstone signal to the block, if it's standing up like this, to the block that is below it. And just to give an example here, well, there we go, depending on how it's placed. So, whatever it is connected to, in this case this block, whatever the stem of the torch is connected to gets no signal. The block that is directly above it, just to show you that there, gets a strong signal. As so. Basically think of it as whatever the flames is touching is going to be getting a strong redstone signal. The other blocks that are adjacent to it will all get a weak signal. So that's something to keep in mind. The stem gets no power. The block directly above it gets strong power. The other blocks adjacent to it get weak power. Giving you a, depending on how it's set, giving you something sort of similar to this. Now, the other thing that is very important for redstone torches is that when you apply a redstone signal to them, they turn off. So, for example, with the button, you see the torch just turns off, like so. With this, because when you turn it on, it is always applying signal, it turns off completely. And you can even do this with other redstone torches, like so. Powers this block, this block provides weak power to this, the weak power turns off the redstone torch. So a lot of different blocks use this capability there. A lot of different mechanisms use this capability to turn the redstone torch on and off there. In fact, in some situations, it is quicker to look for the absence of power than it is to look for the power there. When we start working on circuits and stuff, that'll probably make more sense than what I'm saying right now. But this is the main thing to be aware of right now, is that again, with the redstone torch, the base of the stem gets no power, the block above it gets strong power, and everything adjacent to it, as well as adjacent to the strongly powered block, gets weak power. So, like I said, pretty simple. And one other thing to note here, of the three things we're discussing, the redstone torch is the only one that has this exception. So we say we turn that on that way, we cannot turn it off by, say, that or that, or another switch, or a button. Doesn't work. Same thing with the button. You can't turn off its signal by applying another redstone. That is something specific to the redstone torch, and it's actually a useful way of controlling stuff. What you would call a NOR gate, which we'll get into logic gates eventually here. So that's pretty much it for this brief episode. Next, we're going to go ahead and dive into a few other things. We'll look at the pressure plates, and we'll also look at this new redstone block here. And then on the last episode of components, we'll look at the last of these four things: the trap chest, the tripwire hook, the detector rail, and the light sensor. Once we get finished with that, we'll go ahead and dive into a little bit. We'll focus on these three things, and each in its own episode: the comparator, the repeater, and the redstone dust. We'll touch a little bit on the effects of opaque and non-opaque blocks, and then we will start at that point going into some basic logic gates and explaining that there. So, hope you all enjoyed this. If you did enjoy this, a like is always appreciated. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the suggestions, and I will read them, and I try to respond as much as I can. And I hope you all have a great day. Goodbye, everyone.